Hello everyone, my name is Cullen Smith. I'm a published author. Today I would like to introduce you all to my brand new published book, The Hive Mind Invasion of Civilization, a compendium of esoteric science, symbolism, and universal secrets. If you'd like to purchase this book, you can head over to my brand new website that I've set up at liftingtheveil.tv, and I will see all of you there. What's your evidence for that?
Because the Jesuits created the stupid globe, didn't they? They are the ones who made.
What's your evidence for that? Because the Jesuits are the one who promoted the myth of the flat Earth back in the 1500s. Such as we know that Christopher Columbus knew that the Earth was not flat, and that they knew that the Earth was a globe when he sailed to America. And so the Jesuit Society are the ones who pushed the myth that the Earth was flat in order to cover up their trade routes of the spice trade to other foreign countries, so that no other just random plebes could use their circumnavigation routes to interfere with their global spice trade. So they knew that the Earth was a sphere. They had knowledge of circumnavigation of the globe since the ancient sites were built on the alignment, circumpolar alignment of the globe, from Angkor Wat to in Cambodia to the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which is the very center of the world's landmass. The mathematical encoding. I mean, here I can show you all of this evidence in my 4.5-hour video that I've got time stamped here to show. Let's see, from the revelation of the pyramids. Let's see where it is. Documentary Revelation of the Pyramids. I'm sure you remember that documentary. It's one of the best ones out there, where they show the ancient circumnavigation and knowledge of the globe.
Using astrolabes, which are based on flat Earth.
No, astrolabes have nothing to do with flat Earth. They are based on the spherical geometry.
So imagine it's the 1700s and you're a sailor, and you've been tasked with discovering gold or finding a new colony to inhabit, or just to trade or to get from one place to another. So you're in your boat and you've got to get from one continent to another. Well, how do you do it? You have no GPS, you have no Google Maps, you don't have anything really that you could use in terms of modern technology. So how do you navigate? How do you figure out your latitude? Well, sailors in the 16 and 1700s realized that they could actually determine their latitude using a star called Polaris. Now, Polaris is the scientific name for the North Star. So what you would do is you would go out on your ship at night and you would use an instrument such as an astrolabe or a sextant. And what you would do is you would find Polaris in the night sky, and you would measure how many degrees Polaris was above the horizon. Now, that number of degrees is really important, because it turns out that the altitude of Polaris, or the height of Polaris, is equal to an observer's latitude. So if you observed Polaris 48 degrees above the horizon, it meant that your latitude was 48 degrees north. The reason it works that way is because Polaris is located right on top of the Earth's axis. But it's so far away that when light from Polaris gets to the Earth, it basically is all coming in from the same direction, because Polaris is so far away. So if you're standing at the North Pole and you want to see Polaris, you're going to look straight up over your head. So if we measure the angle that's formed between the surface of the Earth and straight up over your head, well, it's a right angle. It's a 90-degree angle. Well, the latitude of the North Pole is 90 degrees north. They're the same. If you were to travel a little bit to the south, let's say you were located over here. Well, now we can see that here's the horizon, here's the surface of the Earth. If you want to see Polaris, you're not going to look straight up over your head. You're going to look this way. And so there's a much smaller angle. Maybe that's around 45 degrees. So maybe your latitude is 45 degrees north. If you continue going south, let's say you go to the equator. Well, the horizon, or the surface of the Earth, is right over here. Straight up over your head would be over here. So Polaris is clearly not over your head. Well, Polaris is basically the same direction as the horizon. So in other words, there's no angle. It's 0 degrees. Well, what's the latitude of the equator? It's 0 degrees. So using Polaris as a tool to finding our latitude always works. Now, the thing we have to remember, though, is Polaris is only visible in the northern hemisphere. You can only see it if you're above the equator, north of the equator. So this is not going to work if you were in Australia or South America. Okay, so if you start at the equator and you travel northwards, Polaris is going to get higher and higher in the sky. When you're at the North Pole, Polaris is directly overhead. We call that the zenith. The zenith is just whatever is directly overhead. And if you start at the North Pole and we travel south, Polaris is going to get lower and lower in the sky until you're at the equator, where it's going to be straight in front of you, 0 degrees above the horizon. So here's another type of diagram that you might be shown on an assessment of some sort. And so what you'll notice is you have a couple of things here. So again, the zenith is the imaginary point that's 90 degrees above an object. When we're trying to find our latitude, out of these two angles, the one that's important is how far Polaris is above the horizon. So in this case, the person's latitude would be 42.5 degrees north.
This is basic physics. This is basic science.
And yet, when you're at Ecuador, the Earth's linear motion is 1,045 miles. But when you're landing an airplane in Boston at the 60-degree latitude, it's only doing about 600 miles an hour. So, which are the instruments in the airplane that they use to make for the adjustments for that?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know that, but we could consult with Wolfie 6020 on YouTube, who is a Royal Air Force pilot, rescue pilot from the military, who is one of the most competent and credible individuals on the internet or pretty much on the planet, who answers all of these questions on his YouTube channel. You can simply ask him. He will show you live from his cockpit, show you the instruments and explain the instruments that he uses and the calculations that they use to determine all of those things. He fully explains that on his channel. And he also uses his commercial pilot's license to look up all the flat earthers' commercial pilot's license and show that they are all lying about their licenses and credentials, and they're all nothing but, at the best, they are amateur pilots, meaning that they do not have formal training on the spherical geodesy of the globe or commercial flight plans or how to navigate internationally using global flight plans. So in other words, flat earthers cannot navigate the globe. They can't sail from between countries using a flat earth model. So this is the main evidence that we need to talk about right up front, is show me your fully functional model of a flat earth that includes every observable phenomenon that we can look and observe in nature, including circumpolar stars, southern star trails, southern constellations, solar and lunar eclipses, day and night, seasons, equinoxes, and solar analemmas, on and on and on. All of these phenomena, global flight plans, Eötvös effect, Coriolis effect. And so there's a lot of arguments to debate there. But the point is that flat earthers do not have a single functioning model. They've got numerous different models proposed. Oh, is it a flat infinite plane? Oh, is it the azimuthal equidistant Truth Heresy has a bunch of jokes about that. But is it the azimuthal equidistant map, which is actually based off of a spherical globe? No, most flat earthers don't even understand that. The azimuthal map is derived from from spherical geometry. That's what an azimuthal equidistant map is. But so the point is that flat earthers don't have a single fully functional model that explains and fully illustrates and describes every single phenomenon we observe in nature, whereas the sphere checks off every single one of those boxes. And so that's why me and my friend Noah have this 4.5-hour documentary research film fully explaining and going into depth and in a very friendly way, not making fun of everybody, simply explaining all of Eric Dubay's 200 proofs, Earth not a globe. We go through every single one of the 200, and then all of the ones beyond that can't be explained by the flat Earth, that are only explained by a globe model, including, you wanted to get into the ancient stuff. So if you'll allow my screen to share here for just a moment, I will show you this brief clip from the Revelation of the Pyramids documentary that everyone can see for themselves just how much the ancients knew about the spherical geometry in order to build their temples on a straight line across that spanned across the globe. They were all built on a straight line.
And so, what does that mean? They're all facing north and south. Well, that's
We'll see. We'll just let the evidence speak for itself.
That's because the Earth is stationary. So, getting back to our original question, so this guy reckons he's going to come up with the instruments that they use to adjust their speeds and make all the different landing calculations because the Earth is spinning way slower in Alaska.
Yes. Commercial pilots, their instruments do account for the rotation of the Earth. Yes. But
for the slowing down of the linear velocity, do they account for the slowing down of the linear velocity when they are landing on a south-north runway?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I'd like to see that. I'll accept that as your answer for now.
Okay. Yes.
So,
go to Wolfie's 6020s channel, and he will show you with his instrumentation live from his cockpit. You can do he will live stream it for you to see, and he will explain exactly, and he'll show you the handbook manuals that they use to calculate those calculations into the instruments that they use in their cockpits. Commercial pilots do account for all of those calculations of the rotation of the Earth in their flight plans. Yes, they do.
Explain to me how it takes 8 hours to go from Paris and 8 hours to go to New York when the Earth's going 1,000 miles in the westerly direction. How is it 8 hours when you're going toward the Earth's movement? What calculations do they factor into that so that they don't get it wrong?
I don't know. I don't even understand the question that you're asking. I don't think you even understand the question that you're asking.
Okay, let me do it again. Real clear. It takes 8 hours to fly from New York to Paris. That's east to west. So how west to east. So on the way back from New York to Paris, it takes 8 hours. When the Earth is actually coming toward you at 1,000 miles an hour. When you're in New York, the Earth is traveling faster than the aeroplane. Aeroplanes are only traveling at 500 miles an hour. The Earth at the equator is doing over 1,000 miles an hour. When they go back and forth, when they go east to west, the time from one destination to another is always the same. How can you please explain why that is? I've never been able to understand why that is. What am I missing?
Well, again, I am not the person to be asking these questions because I personally don't have the expertise or the training or the experience, and I don't even understand fully the question that you're trying to formulate, again, which you yourself don't even understand fully the question that you're trying to articulate. So I apologize, everyone. I should have caught this right at the moment during the live debate, but honestly, I wasn't all there. It had been a long day, and I had been just came back from the gym working out, so I wasn't fully aware of what he was trying to visually explain, because, yet again, they weren't showing any actual evidence of the claims that were being made, so I should have called this out immediately right on the spot. But upon rewatching the debate, I immediately noticed that this is it's a flat out lie. It's a flat out lie. It's completely false. It's a flat out lie.
When they go back and forth, when they go east to west, the time from one destination to another is always the same. How can you please explain why that is? I've never been able to understand why that is. What am I missing?
A simple search. Anyone can look all of this stuff up for themselves. It does not take 8 hours to get from Paris to New York, and it's not the same. The flights are not the same time. So I was wrong with my understandings of flight times. Turns out that flights always from east to west always take longer because you are going against the atmospheric air currents from the spin of the Earth. All flights going from east to west always take longer. That is a known fact of aviation. Anyone can look that up for themselves. And so, no, it's not true. The flight from JFK to Paris takes 7 hours, and then the flight returning takes 8.5 hours. So no, it's a flat out lie. It's a flat out lie, or just a total ignorance and refusing to actually look things up for themselves. And again, this is stuff that basic knowledge that anyone can find out. But even more simply, all of these points are erroneous. They're irrelevant. That these points don't matter. It doesn't matter how that's totally erroneous. All you'd simply have to ask is, which direction does the plane turn flying from Los Angeles to Hawaii? Because if you want to bring up a flat Earth map on your screen, or I will screen share my screen and show you a flat Earth map, where if we were flying from Los Angeles to Hawaii, there is one direction that the plane would bank the entire flight, because Hawaii is basically a straight shot from Los Angeles, from LAX to Honolulu International Airport. You would be banking one direction the entire flight. And in reality, if you're on a flight to Hawaii from LAX, the plane banks left the entire time. You can look out your window, the plane is banking left. That means the left wing goes down and the plane banks left, because LA is a northernmost latitude than Hawaii. Hawaii is southern, and LA is above Hawaii. So you are banking left the entire time because the plane is curving to get to Hawaii. So on a flat Earth map, it would be the complete opposite. The plane would be banking to the right the entire. And this was one of Truth Heresy's main points and main arguments that he showed in his videos. And nobody seems to want to simply just think about these things, or nobody's trying to rebut it or trying to think about it for themselves. If you were flying to Hawaii from Los Angeles on a flat Earth map, it circles, because the flat Earth map circles around. So that means your flight would be circling around to get to Hawaii over there. Or it would be banking right the entire time to get to Hawaii. And that's not what happens if you're flying to Hawaii. You can look out the window, you can ask the captain, you can ask the pilot, you're banking left the entire time. And that's how you get to Hawaii from Los Angeles. You're going southwest. It's a southwest flight plan. You're going southwest. You're not going northeast. On a flat Earth map, you'd be flying northeast. You'd be banking right the whole flight. I don't know how long the flight is from LA to Hawaii. I think it's like 4 hours long, maybe longer, but I think it's about 4 hours. So you're banking right. You would be banking right the entire time on a flat map. And that's not what happens. That's not what we observe in reality, in the real world. You can ask, here, look on a flat map. Sorry, I'm out.
Okay, I've got a flat map. I know what you're talking about. It's
common sense.
It's
anybody can observe it for themselves. Anyone who's going to Hawaii.
The reason why they're banging to the left is because they have to turn left, because that's the direction of Hawaii.
Oh yeah, exactly. How are you going to turn left if you're going right on a flat Earth map? How do you go right? How do you turn left to go right?
No commercial airline routes are straight trajectory. They are all curved. There's a reason for that. They are all curved.
Yeah, but the question is, which way is the plane turning? Is it turning right? Is it banking right? Or is it banking left? It's as simple as that. Well, which way does a plane bank in order to get to Hawaii from Los Angeles?
I guess you just said left, right? So it have to be left.
Well, we could ask any commercial pilot and simply make it as simple as that, since neither you nor I have the credentials or the experience to answer this question, even though we could experience it for ourselves by simply being on a flight from Los Angeles to Hawaii and looking out the window, or asking the pilot. It's as simple as that.
Let me address some of your other questions, which were really, really deservable of addressing. Once in 2013, I went to Ecuador. So can you see my azimuthal equidistant map here?
Yeah, I can see it. It's hard to tell what I'm even looking at.
Okay, there's my cursor on Melbourne. I flew from Melbourne to Los Angeles. I was going to Ecuador, and on a globe that would be straight across the Pacific. I was so pissed off that I had to go straight here to Los Angeles, then straight here to Panama, then straight here to Ecuador. It was a directly straight flight. And now that was 2013.
Wait, I'm sorry. I got lost. Where did you go from? You went from Melbourne to straight to where?
Can you see my cursor?
Yeah, I see it. It's very small though. Yeah, there you go. That makes it easier. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, here's Melbourne.
Yeah.
Right. I went to LAX.
Okay.
Straight. I went to Panama. Straight. I landed in Guayaquil in Ecuador. Yeah. Can you see how straight that is? Look at Ecuador, Panama, LAX, Melbourne.
The only issue with that is the absolute insane distance and length of time that the flight from Melbourne to LAX would be on this flat Earth map. That is a massive amount of open ocean travel, which, yeah, that's just, I don't know how long that would take on a flight on a flat Earth map versus...
Make what you want of that. I'm just telling you what I have experienced. Then I went to Europe 2 months later in that same year. Here I am in Melbourne, starting again. Here I am in Melbourne. They stopped me over in Shanghai, China. I thought, what the fuck? I don't want to go to China. I want to go straight to Europe like my father did in the 70s. No, I went Melbourne, Shanghai, and there's little old Italy, Rome. I landed in Rome.
You
see how straight that is?
Yeah, right. I just recently did that, roughly the same route to get from. I was just in Bali over the summer, and I went from Bali back home to Texas, where I am now. And I thought I was, because my flight from Texas to Bali, I went up over Alaska and went over the land bridge, over Russia, and then circled back down. We basically just followed the land bridge. If we're looking at so we went up over Alaska, followed the land bridge, went down, flight landed in Japan in Kyoto, and then it went from Japan to Jakarta, and then from Jakarta.
And that's dead straight on my map here. That is dead straight from Where did you leave from in the States?
Yeah, the only problem is it wasn't a dead straight flight. We were banking left the entire flight. And
slightly, but it's pretty
slightly, but it was still a curved flight. We were still banking left the entire time. It was not a straight level flight, and so we were banking left the entire time, especially when we went south into Japan, from roughly from the north coast of Russia down China and into Japan, and then further south, straight south to Jakarta, and then to Bali. But
I noticed something strange while booking my Asian getaway. My plane seems to be making a detour over Alaska. Why is my plane going out of its way to avoid the Pacific Ocean? Is this a mistake? Did I accidentally sign up for the Caribou route? Planning a route, many pilots prefer to maximize the number of airports along their path. It is usually the primary factor in determining a plane's flight path, excluding special circumstances such as passing through the jet streams or other meteorological concerns. The fastest route is almost always the one closest to a straight line. But wait, just look at that flight path. It's anything but a straight line. Well, yeah, when you look at it on a flat map. But our planet isn't flat now, is it? It can be confusing since we're used to looking at our world on a two-dimensional plane. Unless you bust out a globe each time you need to check where some city or country is located, you probably look at a world map. So on a 2D map, making a giant rainbow to avoid the Pacific Ocean looks like a much longer route. But since the Earth is a sphere, more or less, but more on that later, a straight line is going to look very different in three-dimensional spaces. Okay, let's do a little experiment. Got a globe nearby? Oh yeah, I just said most of us use Google Maps. All right, here, I'll show you on mine. I put one end of a string on Los Angeles and the other end on Tokyo. When I pull it tight, you'll notice that the string isn't running exactly parallel to the lines of latitude printed on the globe. Instead, it'll bend slightly upwards as it follows the curvature of this mini Earth I got at the bookstore down the road. This effect is even more pronounced in practice because my globe isn't a perfect recreation of the real deal. In fact, the problem is that it's too perfect. You see, unlike a globe, the Earth isn't a perfect sphere. Our planet is slightly bigger around the middle, kind of like me after the holiday. Anyway, something similar happens to the Earth's midsection as it spins. The force causes it to bulge out. Yes, it's spinning fast enough to do that. Anybody tuning in from the equator right now, you're currently moving about 1,000 miles per hour. That 40-mile difference in the Earth's width might not seem like very much, but when it comes to the surface area of an entire planet, that little bit of added girth can go a long way. The combination of these two factors, the curvature of the Earth and its extra equatorial width, ooh, I like that, mean that curving toward the poles is a shorter distance than flying what seems like on a map straight across. None of this is to say that planes never cross the Pacific Ocean. People have to get to Australia somehow, I guess. I'm not so much into giant insects and spiders, but hey, to each his own. Just kidding, Australia.
So I thought we would go the same route back to the United States, and it was totally the opposite. We went from Jakarta to Qatar in the Middle East, north Africa, basically. And then we went from Qatar all the way over the Atlantic to get to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas. So it went the entire opposite route of the globe. I thought we were going to go back east, but instead we went all the way over, flew over all of Europe, flew over France, flew over the Atlantic Ocean, went over New York, and came all the way back down into Texas. It was the whole opposite direction. So that's the same route that you flew from Australia to China to Europe. It went the same direction. It went the opposite. So the reason why it does that is because they utilize the spin of the Earth. If we were going the other way against, it would be going with the spin of the Earth. It would actually take longer to get there than it would be to go against the spin of the Earth, which would help the speed and make the flight shorter. So that's why
they're actually going with the spin of the ether. It's the ether that is rotating over the heavens, as all the ancient scriptures and all the ancient cosmologies say. They say, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, it tells you that the stars are like...
Yeah, well, I don't care what any text tells us. I care what we can objectively measure with science in the real world.
Oh, we can objectively measure plenty.
Yeah, because again, we're not interested in religious ideology. I don't care what the Sri.
Aren't you an astrotheologer and claim to be a syncretist and a reader of cosmologies? And
I'm a researcher, and I go with what is true and what can be proven.
You have missed so much, brother. You've missed it all. And look,
I've not missed it. I observe it, and then if it's true, I will show that, and if it's not true, I will show that also.
Well, let's show you some photographic evidence of a few hundred miles of flat Earth, and let's say 300 or 400 miles. Here we are. Here's a guy in Columbus, Missouri, flying to LAX, and he's going to pull out his camera in a minute.
By the way, thanks to all that subscribe.
There is Jefferson City, just north of Jefferson City, Missouri. And here we go. There's the Mississippi River. Now you can see it going up like a ramp, right up to this point up here. You can still see Mississippi. This has to be at least 300 miles of Mississippi River, at least all the way past Illinois. So let's just have a look at when he zooms in.
Okay, so first off, let me explain some things here.
There's Lake Michigan, dude. That's Chicago. That should not be there. It should not be there. Neither should Lake Winnebago.
Okay, well, I'm not going to take someone's opinion for things. You're saying it should not be there. First of all, I barely can see what I'm looking at is a very poor quality thing.
All right, for all the earnest researchers, please look at this channel, J. Tolan Media 1. So let me see if I've got that on my camera. And then Mississippi River, Great Lakes, and Hudson Bay at 1,200 miles, infrared camera. Now, I'm going to put this on silent while Cullen speaks over it. And you can watch this yourselves, folks, on big screen, and you judge for yourself. I mean, that just looks flat. That really, really looks flat. Now you can't even see anything, and that's what your normal eye would never, ever see that. The horizon point would be hundreds of miles earlier, but infrared is able to penetrate the hydrogen molecules and all the obstructions in the atmosphere so that it can go deeper and further away. This guy's got hundreds of videos where he is showing at least 500 miles provably of flat Earth.
Okay,
it
well,
looks pretty flat, man. And I can show you a video right now of many pilots who say the Earth is as flat as a pancake. And I'm talking
they're not,
Missouri.
Yeah, they're not professional
and he's going
pilots.
all the way up to Hudson Bay.
They're not professional commercial
I don't know,
pilots.
guys. If you see a globe in there, congratulations. I see flat, and the river keeps going up. It doesn't dip. By now, that should have dipped. That should have started to have a little bit of tilt in it. It's not. You can see the water is still level to the eye of the beholder in the plane. The eye is
What does that even
water is
mean?
still going up. What's it doing going up so far away?
Going
it is
up
so,
far away?
So far away. There's like Mark Twain Lake.
These terms you're using don't even make sense. The water it should be going up and far away. What? These terms
I don't know.
aren't...
That looks pretty flat to me. Laugh at me all you like. Maybe one day we're going to have some really, really good infrared. See, people come to me and say, well, how come you can't see Polaris? Well, how come you can't see someone 10 meters away from you when you're in the water, under the water?
What?
Because it's full of water. Well, the atmosphere is full of water as well. There's a lot of hydrogen in the water, and there's a lot of other molecules. There's a lot of other obstructions. Air is not transparent. So you're not going to be able to see Polaris from every part of the world. This is how much of the Earth that he has been photographing, guys. And
what?
A lot of people say, oh, yeah, this is debunked. I don't see how this can be debunked. You just saw the pictures.
Well,
you cannot debunk this.
First, you would have to understand what you're seeing and what you're talking about in order to debunk that.
And there's still wind up here. This is all water. These are not clouds. These are land masses.
Those are clouds.
Way.
Those are cirrus clouds.
The Missouri River, not the Mississippi, the Missouri. Way beyond the Missouri.
Those are stratus cirrus clouds.
This is a bit of Missouri up here, way up in Kentucky or
in the sky,
Mississippi.
That's Missouri up in the sky.
He is way down in. Well, look at that. There's 1,700 miles away, guys. Lake Superior, Hudson Bay, Canada. He's looking at Canada from the state of Missouri, man.
We don't know. We don't know what he's looking at.
If anything, we're in a concave Earth, but it can never be convex.
This is all objectively easily disproven, and plus these points are.
I can't hear you. Hang on a minute. I've muted you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I did that. So I've missed everything you said, which is very, very disappointed. Can you talk now?
Well, you just muted me.
What's going on? All right. No, someone's fucking with me here. Hang on a minute. Ask to unmute. I've asked to unmute. You need to unmute.
I am unmuted. I am unmuted on the recording.
So I missed all of that.
Well,
brilliant. Now, how do you make this big again? All right. Hang on a minute. All right. I have not muted you. Hello?
Yeah, I'm not muted. It's probably...
Fucking hell.
Yeah, this is why it helps to have someone who is technologically...
What's going on? I've got... Ask to unmute.
You don't have to... I'm unmuted right now.
Nah, you must be muted.
I'm not muted. I'm unmuted.
Oh.
It's... The recording is...
Oh, hell. Someone, please, can you tell me, turn your laptop volume up? Oh, fucking hell. Idiot that I am. All right. Hang on. That was my problem. All right. Go again. Make all your points.
Okay. Well, your audio is probably not playing because you did something with the screen share when you were showing the video.
Yeah, I turned my volume down. That's what I did.
Okay. Well, turn your volume back up.
I can hear you clearly now. Please make all your points.
Okay, well, I was making my points as I observed them. First of all, that video doesn't prove anything. I mean, first of all, we don't even know that what we were looking at is what he says it was. I mean, you're basically deferring to his opinion. You're just trusting that all the arrows were pointing to exactly what he says they were. I'm not saying that they're not, but the point is, like, we don't really know for sure. Like, how do I know that was Lake Superior or whatever the hell he was labeling it as? I mean,
all right, well, what about this picture? What about this picture now? Can you see at least? Tell me, please, that you can't. Tell me that you can't see at least 400 miles of Earth in front of you. Tell me that you can't.
Well, you could probably. I don't know. I'm not the math and all of that is not my. I'm terrible at math. I will admit that. I don't know the math and the spherical trigonometry or any of that. Nor do you. I mean, I'm sure we can both agree on that. We're both probably pretty bad at math. But so that's irrelevant. But if you're in a plane, it depends how high up you are. That depends how far in the horizon into the distance you can see. So I mean, that's not much of anything. I mean, any commercial pilot can verify, first of all, that footage that he's seeing or how far he's seeing, or, that's not my, I don't know. I can't answer those questions because I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, nor do I have the knowledge base to understand that stuff, or to see how it's even relevant for showing that the earth is flat. Because there's far more important points that we can show and objectively talk about, and that we can prove and measure, such as Eötvös effect, Coriolis effect. I mean, all of these other things. We should do the very simple stuff. So you've shown me a couple of your things. Now I want to show you some of the most important points that I have for easily why the earth is objectively not flat.
If you'd like to purchase this book, you can head over to my brand new website that I've set up. It's still very bare bones. There's a lot of work I need to do on the site, but for now it's got the basic things that I need on there until I upload all of my content. You can sign up for the newsletter to receive email updates on all of my posts as I begin to populate the site with all of my archives of articles, books, videos, and films and courses and all of that good stuff. So you'll get notifications as I begin to populate the website with all of my content on it. So that's a good reason to sign up right now, even though there's no content on it yet. But you can pick up my books there. I've got my Hive Mind book. I've also got a couple other titles that I've released which are just study aids. They are journals such as Divine Manifestations, a dream journal to log your dream and awakening experiences and to highlight any insights or intuitions that may come to you along your process of growth and exploration of all of this content. I've got a food journal to log your nutritional progress and to log your health and fitness progress as well. And I've got a 50 Days of Gratitude journal as well, and I will be releasing several more titles as well to help expand and explore your own creativity and things of that nature. So these make great gifts for any friends, beloved family, any loved ones. So these are great gifts that you can pick up and also support Lifting the Veil and the work that I do in the process. So feel free and head on over to my brand new website, liftingtheveil.tv. And I will see all of you there. All right, have a great day. Thank you. My name is Cullen Smith. This is Lifting the Veil. You can find all of my full books, presentations, videos, films, articles, posts at subscribestar.com/liftingtheveil. Patreon has suspended this work and my account and income stream for this content. So if you are a supporting patron, then please, I ask you to move your support over to subscribestar.com/liftingtheveil. And I have just established a completely free, uncensored, totally free speech social media platform that replaces Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, every other platform all in one on liftingtheveil.locals.com. You can download the Locals app and you can join our group and have totally free speech and totally uncensored, unrestricted content access. And there is also a ton of exclusive content, and I will leave the cited reference links in the description down below. So you can check that out for all of my full content, and I will see you guys in the next video. I rely solely on word of mouth, and the recommended algorithms are not recommending any of my videos or films anymore. My channel has literally been completely restricted, so I rely on your help by sharing my work around if you appreciate it, and leave me your comments. I definitely want to know what you have to share and what you have to think about all of this stuff, and I will see you in the next video.